The auction grounds on Rether Prime were a cruel spectacle. Beneath the burning red suns, cages lined the dusty plaza, each filled with beasts bred for war. Their hides shimmered with scales, their claws gleamed with steel caps, and their eyes glowed with engineered rage. Alien warlords shouted bids over one another, tossing credit to the auctioneer, as though they were buying nothing more than meat. And in the very last cage stood a creature that no one wanted. It was a warhorse, though to call it that seemed almost insulting. Taller than 3 men, with a body covered in dull gray hide and scars from countless battles. It looked like the shadow of what it once had been. Its legs trembled, its left eye clouded with blindness, and its once proud mane hung ragged and thin. Lot 99, the auctioneer barked, a relic from the great border wars, trained for charge and slaughter. Half price, half alive. The crowd roared with laughter. Too weak. Send it to the meat pits. Barely fit for hauling garbage. The horse let out a low, broken whinny. Its ears flattened. It had been trained to obey commands, to charge armies without fear. But now it could barely stand. The auctioneer grew impatient. Opening bid 10 credits. Silence. 9? 8. No one raised a hand. Even the scavengers, who usually snapped up rejects for parts or food, shook their heads. And then, from the edge of the crowd, a soft voice said, "I'll take it." Heads turned. A human girl, barely 20, stepped forward. She wore patched clothes, dust on her boots, and a determined fire in her eyes. She was no warlord, no noble, just a traveler, her face sunburned from long days under alien suns. The auctioneer frowned. "Do you even have the credits, girl?" She dug into her satchel and pulled out a small pouch. The coins clinked as she set them on the platform. 5 credits, she said. "That's all I have." The crowd erupted in laughter again. 5? Not even worth feeding the beast. But the auctioneer, eager to be rid of the unsellable animal, slammed his gavel. "Sold. Lot 99 goes to the human." The horse was unchained and shoved forward. It stumbled, nearly collapsing into the dust. The girl reached for its muzzle, her hand steady. "Easy," she whispered. "You're safe now." The horse's single good, I studied her. No whip cracked, no harsh command followed. Just warmth. The crowd mocked her as she led it away. "She'll be dead before nightfall. That beast will collapse under her weight." Foolish human. But she didn't care. Her name was Alara, and though she had never owned a warhorse, she saw something the others didn't. The first weeks were hard. The horse was skittish, refusing food. Its ribs showed through its hide. Its legs buckled often. Alara built a small pen outside her hut and spent hours sitting nearby, speaking softly. She mended its wounds with herbs, brushed its mane, and whispered stories of the stars. At night, when the creature trembled with old memories of war, she rested her hand on its side until it calmed. "I don't care what they called you," she murmured once. "To me, you're not a weapon. You're mine, and I'll call you Ash." Day by day, Ash changed. He began to eat again. His steps grew steadier. His ears twitched at the sound of her voice, and when she entered the pen, he leaned into her touch. Alara was patient. She never forced him to carry her. Instead, she walked beside him through the hills, letting him relearn freedom at his own pace. And then one morning, weeks later, Ash bent his legs and knelt, lowering his back. Alara hesitated, then climbed on. For the first time in years, the broken war horse carried a rider. Together, they rode across the hills, dust rising behind them. Ash's hooves thundered like forgotten drums. His mane streamed in the wind, and Alara laughed, the sound carrying far. But the galaxy was not kind to miracles. One evening, a gang of raiders swept into the village, alien marauders, armored and armed, tearing through homes for food and slaves. The villagers panicked, fleeing into the hills. Alara stood in the path, clutching nothing but a wooden staff. Ash snorted beside her, muscles tense. The raider captain sneered. "Out of the way, girl. That beast is ours now." Alara raised her chin. "Over my dead body." The raiders laughed. One lunged forward to strike her down. and Ash charged. The ground shook as the once broken horse thundered forward, slamming into the raider with bone-crushing force. Another swung a blade, but Ash reared, hooves striking the alien down. Years of training, buried under layers of pain, came roaring back. With Alara clinging to his back, Ash plowed through the raiders like a storm. Dust and fear filled the air. The marauders, who had mocked the girl and her beast, now fled in terror. When the dust settled, the village was safe. The people stared in awe at the sight of the human girl, and the war horse standing victorious. From that day on, Alara and Ash became legends. She trained with him, learning the old commands of war horses, blending them with her own gentle ways. He grew strong again, not through cruelty, but through trust. Where others saw weakness, she had seen a soul worth saving. And when whispers of war returned to the galaxy, bards told stories of a human girl who rode a rejected beast, a pair so unbreakable that even kings feared their charge. But when asked why she bought him that day at the auction, Alara always smiled and said, because he needed someone to believe in him. And so did I. Ending. On quiet nights, long after their battles, Alara would sit by the fire, stroking Ash's mane as he rested his great head on her lap. You were never weak, she whispered. They just couldn't see you. And the war horse, once rejected, would let out a soft, contented whinny. For in the eyes of one human girl, he had become more than a weapon. He had become family.